Picture this. You wake up on a cold Monday morning, grab your coffee and head to work. Somewhere in your office or company, there is a person sitting above you on an invisible organizational chart. A chart nobody can physically see, but everyone deeply feels. With a single passive-aggressive email or a sudden schedule change, that single individual can ruin your entire week. We accept this dynamic as a natural law of human life. Somebody is in charge, somebody isn't, and the modern world runs on that difference. But if you step back and look at our species' deep past, a strange question emerges. Did ancient humans live like this? Did a hunter-gatherer waking up 50,000 years ago answer to a boss? Was there a guy at the top, taking credit, issuing orders, and controlling the food supply? The answer to this question completely upends our fundamental understanding of human nature, because for 95% of human history, the answer was a resounding, active, and vicious no. Welcome back to Deep Dive History, where we uncover the forgotten realities of our ancient past to explain the hidden mechanics of our modern world. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit that button to join us on our deep dives into human history. Today, we are answering a fascinating question. Did ancient humans have bosses? To uncover the disturbing truth, we need to travel back in time roughly 50,000 years ago, into the deep prehistoric wilderness, a world where no manager existed, no clock-in system was ever imagined, and where trying to boss people around was a crime punishable by death. Imagine living in a group where everyone was equal, and no single voice had total authority. Every decision was made together as a team, with zero tolerance for ego or control. Let's dive deep into how this ancient system really worked. For decades, modern people assumed that early humans were naturally led by the strongest, most aggressive male in the group, much like a pack of wolves or a troop of chimpanzees. But when anthropologists began studying surviving hunter-gatherer societies across Africa, Asia, and South America, they discovered the exact opposite pattern. Small bands of 20 to 50 people lived without chiefs, without bosses, and without permanent leaders of any kind. Food was shared equally regardless of who made the kill, and major decisions were made by group consensus. Anthropologists call this an egalitarian society, not as a utopian dream but as a literal description of how early humans functioned for hundreds of thousands of years. But this wasn't an accident, nor was it because ancient humans were naturally peaceful saints. Renowned anthropologist Christopher Bowe investigated this phenomenon in his groundbreaking work. He discovered that egalitarianism was actively enforced through a mechanism called the reverse dominance hierarchy. Chimpanzees operate on straightforward dominance, where the strongest individual bullies everyone into submission. Ancient humans took that exact same primate instinct and flipped it completely upside down. Instead of allowing one dominant alpha to control the group, the entire collective banded together to ensure nobody ever got the chance to climb above the rest. If a hunter-gatherer 50,000 years ago started acting bossy, hoarding meat or ordering people around, the tribe deployed a terrifyingly calculated four-step pipeline. Step 1 was targeted public teasing and mockery. The tribe would mercilessly joke about the person's ego to humiliate them back into line before behavior escalated. Step 2 was shunning. If the individual refused to take the hint, the band simply stopped speaking to them, ignored their presence, and refused to share resources. Step 3 was ostracism or exile. The bully was cast out into the prehistoric wilderness alone, which in hunter-gatherer conditions was functionally a death sentence. And in rare cases where someone still refused to stop, Step 4 was execution. The band would secretly organize and collectively eliminate the individual who tried to become boss. Your ancestors were literally willing to kill anyone who tried to manage them. This fierce equality kept human groups balanced. for hundreds of thousands of years across the globe. No single person could hoard wealth or power. Freedom was not given. It was constantly defended. Every member knew that survival depended on unity, not on submitting to a powerful ruler. Leadership was temporary and based strictly on wisdom. If a leader made bad decisions, they were immediately replaced. No title was permanent, and no privilege was guaranteed. This social system allowed humans to thrive in harsh environments, where cooperation was the only path to survival. An arrogant tyrant was a danger to the entire group, and so, the collective always prevailed over the individual. Think about how different this is from our modern offices, where hierarchy is celebrated and rewarded. We promote dominant people into positions of authority, giving them control over our livelihood and schedules. Our ancient ancestors would look at our modern workplace with absolute horror and disbelief. They engineered a society specifically to prevent the exact power dynamics we endure every single day. But how did they spend their actual daily time? Were they working constantly just to stay alive? The actual data on prehistoric work hours will shock anyone who works a standard 40-hour week. Let's examine how much leisure time our ancestors actually enjoyed. The answer completely redefines what it means to be wealthy. Wealth wasn't about possessing items. It was about free time. And by that metric, ancient humans were richer than us. They had time to rest, create art, and connect deeply. No alarm clocks, no traffic, no performance reviews. Just pure human connection and natural rhythm. Now let's explore how agriculture shattered this paradise forever. In 1966, anthropologist Marshall Sahlins rocked the academic world by coining the phrase, the original Affluent Society, to describe hunter-gatherers. Modern culture trains us to picture early humans as miserable, starving savages constantly scraping by. But field studies on foraging societies like the Hadza revealed a mind-blowing truth. Traditional hunter-gatherers spent only about 3 to 5 hours a day on actual work related to securing food. The rest of their time was spent socializing, telling stories, resting, and playing with their children. Sahlins famously noted that ancient hunters kept bankers' hours. They achieved this affluence not by accumulating goods, but by limiting their desires. In a nomadic world where you carry everything, hoarding stuff is counterproductive. There were no advertisements manufacturing artificial desires, no status symbols, and no corporate ladders to climb. Crucially, ancient societies deliberately separated individual skill from social authority. In a hunter-gatherer band, if you were the best hunter, who consistently brought down big game, that excellence did not convert into power over others. In fact, many tribes explicitly barred the successful hunter from dividing his own kill. Other members of the group controlled the distribution of meat. This seems completely backwards to our modern incentive structures, where top performers are promoted into authority positions. But early humans understood a critical truth. If the best hunter controls food, he becomes the most powerful. By severing skill from authority, the group prevented talent from turning into tyranny. So how on earth did we transition from a species that executed would-be bosses to a civilization that willingly answers to managers? The answer lies in the greatest trap in human history, the agricultural revolution. Around 10,000 years ago, humans began farming crops and domesticating animals. For the first time, human beings produced storable surplus food, grains like wheat, barley, and rice that could be stockpiled, guarded, and inherited. The moment food could be stored in a granary, someone stepped up to guard it. Storage created ownership, ownership created land claims, and land claims required armed security. The individual who controlled the granary held total leverage. Work my fields for 12 hours a day, or you starve. In a single historical eye blink, the reverse dominance hierarchy was dismantled, giving birth to kings, landlords, and modern bosses. Grain was the first form of currency that could be controlled by a small elite while forcing the majority to work long hours. Cities grew around these granaries, enclosed by massive walls that kept workers in and outsiders out. Tax collectors emerged, recording every basket of grain produced, while farmers lost the freedom their ancestors fought for. The 3-hour workday vanished overnight, replaced by grueling labor from dawn until dusk. Inequality exploded as a small fraction owned all land, while everyone else became dependent wage laborers. This was the exact scenario prehistoric humans killed to prevent. But now, there was no escaping the economic system. If you left the farm, all wild land was already claimed. You either accepted a boss or faced starvation. Over generations, humans forgot that life was ever different. Hierarchy became accepted as natural and inevitable. The social tools of mockery and exile were outlawed by kings who held monopolies on violence and law. And so, the boss went from being a target of execution to the undisputed pillar of human civilization. We built factories, corporations, and office towers on the foundation laid down by early agricultural granaries. Every time you trade your time for a paycheck today, you participate in a system born 10,000 years ago. But deep within our psychology, the old wiring remains. Our brains were built for the hunter-gatherer village, not for the cubicle farm or corporate ladder. And that mismatch creates the constant friction we feel. Let's look at what this evolutionary tension means for us today. Why does being micromanaged feel so deeply insulting? Why do we naturally crave autonomy and freedom? Because your brain still expects reverse dominance hierarchy. You are built to resist bullies, not to serve them. Every workplace stress response is an ancient survival alarm. Your body thinks your freedom is under attack, because for 300,000 years, loss of autonomy meant death. Modern corporate life asks us to suppress this instinct. We swallow our anger and pretend hierarchy is fine. But the internal conflict never truly disappears. It shows up as burnout, anxiety, and quiet dissatisfaction. We long for the egalitarian spirit of our deep past, where every voice mattered and no boss reigned supreme. Understanding this history is the first step to reclaiming control. You are not broken for hating being bossed around. You are simply human, wired by hundreds of thousands of years. A fierce, uncompromising freedom. Let me summarize the psychological tension we live with every day. On one hand, society demands compliance and order. On the other hand, our biology demands equality and respect, with a profound psychological paradox. Deep inside your brain, two competing ancient instincts are constantly fighting for control. One instinct is the primate desire to dominate and climb to the top of the hierarchy. The second instinct, built over 300,000 years of hunter-gatherer survival, is an intense, burning fury. Whenever someone attempts to dominate or control you, when you sit at your office desk tomorrow and feel a flash of irritation or resentment, when a superior micromanages your time, that is not just bad attitude or workplace fatigue. That is 300,000 years of evolutionary DNA, whispering inside your head, remembering a time when your ancestors refused to let any single human being tell them what to do. The only difference is that 50,000 years ago, your tribe would have mocked or exiled that person by lunchtime, whereas today, you simply have to smile and reply, "Yes, email received." The very word, boss, traces back to the Dutch word baas, which originally meant a master or uncle, a term re-engineered in colonial America, because workers wanted a word for master that didn't sound quite so dark. The concept of a modern boss, someone who owns your working hours and extracts profit from your labor, is not an eternal law of human nature. It is a very recent economic invention, built on top of private land, storable surplus, and commercial markets. Our ancestors spent hundreds of thousands of years building social machinery to prevent bosses from taking power only for modern civilization to turn that machinery completely off. So where does this leave us in the 21st century? We live in a world built on hierarchy, yet our brains are wired for equality. Understanding this history gives us power. It allows us to recognize that our frustration is natural, rooted in hundreds of thousands of years of human survival. You are not weak for wanting autonomy. You are honoring the legacy of your ancestors, who fought and died to ensure no one controlled their destiny. As we navigate our modern careers and work lives, we can seek out workplaces that value collaboration over control. We can build organizations that respect human dignity and revive the egalitarian spirit in small, meaningful ways. By choosing consensus over authority whenever possible, we honor the deep wisdom of our evolutionary story. And remember that hierarchy is just a tool, not our master. The past shows us that another way of living is possible. Did agriculture liberate humanity, or did it trap us inside an endless rat race of our own making? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. We read every comment and love hearing your perspectives. If you enjoyed this deep dive into human history, make sure to hit the like button right now. Share this video with someone who hates Monday mornings, and subscribe to Deep Dive History for more episodes. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Every video we bring you uncovers the hidden mechanics that shape how we think, work, and live today. Check out our playlist for more deep dives into ancient civilizations, from the invention of fire to the rise of agriculture. Thank you for watching and supporting the channel. Your support makes these detailed documentaries possible. Keep questioning the world around you and dive deep. We'll see you in the next deep dive into human past.